Whatever, whatever,
Yeah,
whatever, whatever. We're
whatever is
whatever.
whatever. Whatever is whatever. Creepy Brian texted me on the show last night. He's like, "You like to say whatever is whatever."
Yeah,
The first time you said that was on July, blah blah blah. I'm like,
yeah.
oh my god,
Everything
dude.
is everything.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Everyone love everyone. How about that?
Hmm.
Whoops, I almost pressed the wrong button.
And that's the show. Thanks, everybody. That's your
uh,
week 6 preview with What the Heck Flex.
Part
See you
two,
next
ever
week.
popular. What the heck, Flex? Yeah, I clicked on end broadcast. It was like, really?
Are you sure,
I
Cecil?
know. I was like, oh my god, when is this poison going to kick in so I can wake up? Oh boy, that was
Cecil,
embarrassing.
there's faster, more effective things you could use too.
Ah,
Exactly, we're getting old.
yeah. Good morning, everybody. And it is part two of the week 6 preview here on the Audible. That's right, the footballguys.com podcast. Cecil Lammey and Sigmund Bloom with Chicago and Carolina being the next game that we're going to go over. And in this one, you look at Chicago's side, Nick Foles telling Tom Brady he's his daddy. Like, all right, the team building confidence. David Montgomery, against that Carolina defense. It sounds nice. And the Bears actually are a little bit more exciting. Bloom, we went through some games yesterday that were depressing.
Yeah.
We went through some games that were anger filled, Broncos show. But when I think about the Bears this week, I'm like, I'm actually very curious to see how this game from football and fantasy football shapes up. Let's talk about those Bears.
Intriguing. Playoff implications. It's only week 6, but Carolina tied for first. Bears 4-1. The Bears are 4-1. They're 4-1. I mean, it's some sort of magical spell that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy cast to save their jobs. Here we are. It wasn't necessarily great decision making that got them. This is an intriguing matchup too, as far as the contrast in teams, and one team, a regime that's trying to hold on and get to the playoffs to save their jobs. Another one, a new regime that is way ahead of schedule. I think that you have Nick Foles is a deep sleeper here. We're watching Brian Burns' status with a concussion. KK Short goes out for the year. That sucks. That's a gut punch. Yetur Gross-Matos is also banged up here. Dante Jackson is banged up. So we'll see who plays and how well they play against this Chicago offense that what we'd hoped is Nick Foles would activate parts of the playbook that Mitch Trubisky just couldn't. And we haven't seen it quite yet, although some of that is the Tampa Bay defense looking good. We're going to see David Montgomery, and it doesn't sound like Le'Veon Bell's going to go to Chicago. We don't know where he's going to go. We have a better idea where he's not going to go. David Montgomery in PPR leagues, a safe play, and we saw him with a solid night against a tough run defense. Tampa finally got that rushing score. Allen Robinson, I mean, even if he has to see Dante Jackson with the banged up toe, he's going to get a ton of targets. Darnell Mooney, an interesting deep what the heck flex here, as we saw him get open deep against Tampa, but Foles was under pressure and couldn't connect. But with Mooney, you have that possibility on any given play, and it does look that he is clearly ahead of Anthony Miller at this point. And of course, if Brian Burns can't play because of that concussion, that gives Nick Foles a better chance to hang in there and complete that deep ball. And then, of course, Jimmy Graham, plan A in the red zone, and Carolina's defense is improving, but Jimmy Graham, because it's a rough year at tight end, and hey, we heard he was having a great camp and so on. Jimmy Graham is a viable tight end play if you don't have anybody. But I just want to say Teddy.
Let's root and let's cheer for Teddy Bridgewater. And what can he do in this one? And Robbie Anderson creeping his way up to like every week starter. Like no questions even. I've got Robbie Anderson and Fessel OG. I know everybody loves to Fessel OG updates, but like just throw in Robbie Anderson. I don't even have to think about it. Have that deep speed, him and Teddy connecting. DJ Moore out there as well. Mike Davis doing his thing. And whereas Christian McCaffrey is able to come off the IR list this week, Bloom, the way Mike Davis is playing, the way this team is playing, just make sure your superstar is 100%. So no rush. So Mike Davis out there putting on his running back one pants and going to work.
Yeah, Mike Davis. No question cease. Should I play Mike Davis? You're playing Mike Davis, and like you said, it gives Carolina the opportunity to let Christian McCaffrey come back when he's truly 100%. Mike Davis revenge game too, by the way, in this one.
Yeah.
Uh,
The last team that waived him, because he's been
yeah,
waived 4 times.
Teddy. Tough matchup. Not necessarily a week to go to Teddy as your starting quarterback, just because Chicago's defense is still pretty good. And that means we're lowering expectations here. And it means that Robbie Anderson's the only safe play out of this passing game. And DJ Moore, you have lower expectations for. And then you also have Teddy Bridgewater saying we're trying to get Curtis Samuel more involved. Samuel, a perpetual what the heck flex because of his speed, but his usage hasn't allowed him to get a good runway. But if I hear they're going to get Samuel more involved, I don't think that means they're taking anything away from Robbie Anderson, because Robbie Anderson has just been so clutch on those short routes, getting a ton of yards after helping move the sticks and keep this offense on schedule. So Moore is a kind of a boom bust wide receiver 3 flex play. Robbie Anderson's a high floor wide receiver 3, maybe even wide receiver 2 in PPR. But again, I look at this game and I just think, go Panthers. It's terrific that we're talking about the Panthers as a contender. It's terrific that we're talking about Teddy as someone that may earn the second year of his contract. And I mean, it goes together, right? If Teddy's playing well enough that they're not in position to take one of the top 3 quarterbacks, then that means he deserves to keep going as the starter, right? If they're not picking in the top 6, top 8, top 10, Teddy did some great work for this team. He's doing great work, and I'm just excited to see someone Cease with his makeup as a human being to be successful in the NFL.
I like when hard work pays off, and I like when you don't waste time, because there are going to be teams out there, Denver, they might not have their quarterback, and they'll still be like, well, we just don't know, and COVID, and what a year, and blah, blah, blah. Let's waste more time. How about that? Let's get to Detroit and Jacksonville. And from just the calls last night, Bloom, and questions this week on Twitter, I've seen people have like an excitement about Detroit, which is weird. It's odd, but hey, getting some Lions questions this week against Jacksonville. Is it really a good week to consider your Lions assets?
I think so. And something that has to be considered here also in the larger conversation about the Detroit offense is coming up. Now that they're past their bye, Atlanta after this, Atlanta, Indy, all right, Minnesota, Washington, Carolina, Houston. So this could be some momentum for this offense. You see, like Matthew Stafford, if you're covering a bye, I guess Russell Wilson, if you are otherwise looking for someone to plug in because you don't like your quarterback's matchup, this could be a great run for him. And we have to remember that before he got hurt last year, this was a very high-powered pass offense in terms of statistics for Stafford, for Kenny Golladay, who's healthy now coming out of the bye. You got to love Kenny Golladay. This is one of your DFS picks to click. Even Marvin Jones, preview what the heck flex. DeAndre Swift. And Cease, we got to remember, this is so much going on. Lots of ins, lots of outs, a lot of what have yous in this season. Coming out of a bye, teams often have a chance to reassess priorities. DeAndre Swift should be a priority. But Adrian Peterson could also be a priority. I mean, you may see DeAndre Swift touch the ball 12, 15 times, score a touchdown or two, and Peterson get 20 carries for 80 or 90 yards, maybe a chance for a touchdown for him. And then there's TJ Hawkinson. And it isn't like Hawkinson's been lighting it up. But see, so you look at all of these tight ends falling by the wayside for fantasy that we just don't even care about. At least Hawkinson, we care about. We certainly care about him in this matchup. If there's any problem here for the Detroit offense, it's there's too many mouths to feed. But against the Jacksonville defense that was just woeful. And again, we'll watch Josh Allen, we'll watch Miles Jack and their injury status, because without those two players on the field, Houston got right against them, and Detroit is rested and ready to go.
Well, Jacksonville's ready to bounce back in the Minshew magic. Everyone sees the strings. So Matt Patricia, not a big fan of Matt Patricia on this show. I don't think either one of us are. Whatever. It's never personal. But okay, Gardner Minshew. What's the health status of DJ Chark? Visca Chenault is a flex play, at least what the heck flex, if not more, this week. And of course, you're starting James Robinson. That's become the every week thing, Bloom, where you're like, I don't of course, it's James Robinson. So how does Jacksonville respond to Detroit being so spunky?
Yeah, it's been a journey for Jacksonville. That first week, they upset Indianapolis. Gardner Minshew rallying everybody. This is going to be exciting. No, it's not really going to be exciting.
Nope.
This is a team that is headed towards that top 5 and probably a top quarterback, although Gardner Minshew is ready to take that Ryan Fitzpatrick mantle whenever Ryan Fitzpatrick gives it up. And you mentioned Matt Patricia, by the way. I meant to say, so we've already seen Bill O'Brien, Dan Quinn, and Thomas Dimitroff go down this year. Is Matt Patricia next? And I think this is the kind of loss that maybe gets the wheels turning for Detroit. You know, you look at the losses that sent those guys on their way. So Jacksonville has that to play for. Detroit fans may be rooting for them. Like you said with James Robinson, they made a mistake going away from the run last week against Houston too, which is a team that should encourage you to continue to run and run and run. So I would think they're not going to make that mistake. I think they even address this. So DJ Chark is hurting with the ankle injury. Visca missed practice on Wednesday with a hamstring. So watch this, because he's not necessarily known for his durability. Could be a Keelan Cole week, because Detroit's defense isn't scary. Chris Conley, I don't really want to trust him, but he could get a lot more targets in this one. Maybe even a D.D. Westbrook sighting. Watch Tyler Eifert. If he's out and you have to go to the waiver wire for a tight end, you're just carrying Darren Waller and you're thinking, okay, I'll just pick someone off the waiver wire because I'm fine once Waller's back. Maybe James O'Shaughnessy, Matt Waldman favorite, could be somebody to look to. If Chark is out, as long as we can get in a full practice for Visca by the end of the week, you got to love Visca Chenault's chance to have a career game in this one, in the short career he's had, because Gardner Minshew is going to continue to put up numbers, although without DJ Chark, if indeed Chark is out, we're not liking him as much as a sleeper or someone to plug in here. See, this is kind of like a vote him off the island game. And again, with Patricia, is he the next one up? Is Adam Gase the next one up?
Right. Right. We shall see. And just a quick note on Visca. Look at what he did the last year at CU. He was never healthy. So he's one of those guys, if he's like a little bit banged up, he'll play and perform at about 80% levels. He's got to be like out to not play. So it is a concern because he was hurt a lot at CU. But look at what he did when he was hurt all the time. He played hurt all the time. Dude's incredibly tough and makes great zombie movies. A little inside note. Let's talk about.
You need to get us a clip of one of those. Reach out to the Colorado Sports Information Department or something.
Well, I know the guy that made the film with him when they were freshmen. So I'll talk to Sam, see if he's got a reel for me. Let's talk about Miami. I'd rather talk about Laviska Shenault's zombie movie when he was a freshman at CU than New York at Miami. The Jets at Miami. Okay, they're saying more LaMichael Pirine. Denzel Mims is able to come back pretty soon. That's exciting. And one thing that I did note in on our Football Guys Newswire is, like, you have to remember how talented Denzel Mims is. And it's going to be Joe Flacco this week, not Sam Darnold. So I'd rather just talk about a guy who's not going to play, Denzel Mims Bloom. But just to remind everybody, again, at the Senior Bowl, where's Jason for his bong grips? But like at the Senior Bowl, Denzel Mims looked better than Chase Claypool. So, what does that mean? Probably nothing, but he's a talented player that could come back to this offense. And again, Bloom, I'd rather talk about the guys who aren't going to play than the guys who are going to play, except for Jamison Crowder for the Jets.
Of course. Crowder's in your lineup until further notice. See, you missed the low-hanging fruit here. The Jets are a zombie movie, and each guy that makes it out is like, I survived! Le'Veon Bell survived! Right?
Oh, my God.
Adam Gase is like the head zombie or what have you, giving everyone their zombie rights.
He was the patient zero. He was the first one. He was
right.
He started it all.
And then Jamison Crowder must have some sort of special spell cast over him so the zombie bite doesn't take effect on him. But yeah, that's what we're looking at here. Le'Veon Bell, free, escape. We'll probably know by the end of the day today. Kansas City, Buffalo, Miami are apparently the finalists here. Maybe Le'Veon Bell could play in this game. Probably not. Even if Miami signs him, probably not in this game. But that would be fun. And by the way, the next 3 games on the Jets schedule are Miami, I think Buffalo, and Kansas City, the 3 teams that he's looking at. We'll watch LaMichael Pirine. Also, Josh Adams. I thought Josh Adams looked good for Philly when he got in there. And Ty Johnson, also formerly of waiver wire wasted Bucks fame last year with the Lions. He's on the team, and it's a Joe Flacco game. So you like that Miami defense. And something to keep in mind with Miami defense is now Xavier Howard and Byron Jones are healthy, and you're seeing this team start to turn the corner. Certainly as a rented defense, you're looking at Miami this week, but also Miami's bye is week 7. Building up some momentum. Good teams just dismiss even within the division. Bad teams. So we'll see if Miami, they play like a great team last week in San Francisco. Can they look like a good team this week?
Oh my God. Calbuto says they may cut Crowder, reportedly trying to trade him.
Right. He's too good. It's
Right.
the Pittsburgh Pirates plan. Anytime a player gets good, he's going to want to get paid eventually. So we got to do something about that.
Get rid of him. Miami side of things. Okay, Myles Gaskin. Okay, everybody, right? Rally the troops. Preston, Devontae, Fitzmagic. Keep the magic going because it's the Jets. It's the Jets, man. The simplest of card tricks would work against this team. And Adam Gase looking at the tacos like, how does he have it? Is he the cockroach? Or he is the zombie? He is you can't kill him. All right, Miami, it's your turn.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick riding high coming into this one. Certainly a DFS play. Somebody to look at is a bye week fill-in or a quarterback by committee choice. Myles Gaskin getting goal line carries. You have to like him here. And Matt Breida. What have the Jets done repeatedly this year? Even though they do have a strong run defense up front. Long, big plays. Last week it was Chase Edmonds. Jerick McKinnon did it to them. Raheem Mostert did it to them. Matt Breida, that's Matt Breida's music. So you like Breida this week as a true what-the-heck flex. Also, maybe just in garbage time. Yes, Devontae Parker. Yes, Preston Williams, who's coming on. Yes, Mike Gesicki, who had a big play last week. And again, I just like the idea. Cecil, we've already gone through this year before the season. Are the Dolphins maybe, possibly a contender early in the season? Nah, Dolphins aren't going to be a contender. Now we go into this week. Maybe looking like a contender. It's 2020. It's not over. Anything's possible.
Yeah, and it's just depends on where you're at with Fitzmagic. Like, okay, how's he playing? What? Okay, well, that's the afternoon game. There's 2 of them, and nobody's going to be watching that one because
that's for commercial breaks.
Yes, we're all going to be on Green Bay and Tampa Bay. This one is absolutely huge, and I know that my Packers defense stock is looking quite nice in this one against an immobile Tom Brady. But let's talk about that Packers offense. The return of Davante Adams this week. Of course, you've got Aaron Jones. Of course, you're starting Aaron Jones. And Aaron Rodgers, you are starting as well. Tampa's got that nasty front 7. Tampa's secondary you can pick on. So who is it? Big Bob Tonyan, right? Bob Tonyan time, ladies and gentlemen. Because Aaron Rodgers smells blood in the water. Nick Foles is beating up on Tom Brady. What's Aaron Rodgers going to do?
This is a fun one. Again, we invoke Chris Berman, the Bay of Pigs, but this is a very pretty game. It might be a physical game, an ugly game too. Matt LaFleur with 2 weeks to prepare. And see, I've never been the biggest fan of Aaron Rodgers, the person, but he just seems like a different guy this year, and it's great.
Seems like he's happy.
Yeah, relaxed. He's the great Aaron Rodgers. That because it's been tough. Cecil like to watch games with my beautiful wife Kate, and even if the Packers aren't playing, they'll be like, "Well, Aaron Rodgers. There's only one other quarterback in the game, Aaron Rodgers, and he hasn't been playing like that lately." But he still has that rep. But now he's playing up to the rep. So we'll see against the Bucks. Tough run defense. They lost Vita Vea. So Aaron Jones maybe have a few more cracks to get through there. Davante Adams is back. You got to love that. You also have Marquez Valdes-Scantling with a chance for a deep ball in this one. Tampa secondary can be vulnerable deep. So he's a what-the-heck flex this week. And we'll see about Equanimous St. Brown. Designated to return from IR. Will he be back in time for this week? He'd be the number 3 receiver, and he'd be on the field a lot. But the number 2 receiver for this team is probably Big Bob Tonyan. And this is how tight end is, Cease. He goes from, well, maybe you play him. Oh, he's actually scored a touchdown, 5 catches. And now all of a sudden, with the 3 touchdown game, he's a top 8 tight end going forward. We'll see if he can keep it up in this game. But now this becomes exciting. And, Tampa's defense, they fly around the field. They're hard hitting. They make big plays. They give up big plays. The question really is, can Brady keep up with Rodgers?
Right. And what does he do tit for tat and going back and forth in this one? And Chris Godwin looks like he'll be back. Again, it's early. It's Thursday. So, I always got to wait till Fridays and to report what have you. But it looks like Godwin's going to be back. That's good news. Looks like Leonard Fournette might actually be back as well. I don't think that complicates the things for Ronald Jones, though, Bloom. Because even when Fournette had his 100-yard game, he was still the clear backup to Ronald Jones. So Ronald Jones continued to do his thing, but what do the Packers do? They get after you. They get after the quarterback. So Brady looked real uncomfortable. Lots of behind-the-scenes drama I'll have to tell you about off the air, Bloom, with Brady and the way that it ended in the Bears game. And pointing the fingers and blame game and all that. Everything that you've heard is probably true. So how do they kind of gather their composure and go up against this team, the Pack?
Yeah, a team with a good pass rush. And looking at this offense, we may have everyone on the field. I don't want to say everyone healthy, but on the field. Chris Godwin trending towards playing. Mike Evans might not be 100%, but at least a little extra rest for that ankle. We'll see about Scott Miller, but it's really about Evans and Godwin in the wide receiver group. Leonard Fournette might be back out there, but Cecil, I agree with you that you're still probably going to play Ronald Jones in a week with 4 teams. By the way, maybe it looks like Minnesota and Atlanta is going to be okay. Atlanta had another positive, not a player, closed the facility. It's 2020. You're used to this stuff. Stay tuned. Stay tuned if you've got Minnesota or Atlanta players. We may have another Tuesday Night Football. Who knows? But I think with these wide receivers back, also I'm curious if Tyler Johnson gets more run. It's possible that Tyler Johnson can roughly duplicate what Chris Godwin does in the slot and allow them to keep Chris Godwin outside in 3 wide receiver sets. All this adds up to you not going to a tight end here except out of true desperation. Again, Tanner Hudson made this a 3-way tight end split against Chicago. I do like that folks got to see that haven't watched Ronald Jones, that he has some game. Breaking some tackles in the backfield. He has some burst. He has that low center of gravity, contact balance, some things to keep him going, even though he's not the same back that he was at USC. See, we've seen him reinvent himself, a little bit like what Lamar Miller did when he went to Houston. This is just a really fascinating matchup. And see, this is the kind of game that I think we could see it go. Tampa's got off to slow starts, but then come back and overcome teams. But Green Bay has buried teams. This is a game that could go any number of ways, and it does come down to the quarterbacks. And I do think that you haven't seen yet, why do you bring in Tom Brady? Because everyone's going to have confidence in him. He hasn't done that yet, really. You didn't see him come through against Chicago, and Green Bay is not going to be an easy test either.
Well, and what if, Bloom, let's play a game.
Yeah.
What if Tom Brady's just ruffling feathers behind the scenes? Because that's a Bruce Arians team, man. That's a team that's a little bit more chill, still very skilled, very dangerous, very determined. But when you're bringing that Belichick attitude into the building and you're not performing that way, like you've probably never been in this situation, Bloom, because you're a kindly person.
Yeah.
But for those of us that have been, it's like when you realize you're the a-hole.
Yeah.
If you're ever in a social setting, you're like, wait a second. Okay. Maybe Tommy might want to look at himself.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Looking at the man in the mirror.
Sunday night football, the LA Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. And the Rams side, well, they've got a running back by committee that confuses fantasy gyms, although people still start Darrell Henderson with confidence. Unless you look at the snap counts for him and Malcolm Brown, you're like, ooh. So is it a Malcolm Brown week, Darrell Henderson week, or does Cam Akers throw a wrench into everything? Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee keep going back and forth, and you're wondering what's there to be from Jared Goff. And, healthy respect between these two. This isn't San Francisco, Seattle, right?
No.
But the healthy dose of respect. Sean McVay kind of emulates Kyle Shanahan, basically. It's the same tree. It's Shanahan tree. So, okay, How do the Rams approach a 49ers team that's limping? They're hurting right now. I think the Rams will win, but Bloom, I'm not picking them to win big. Because San Francisco will muster some sort of effort. But how do the Rams get the W on Sunday?
Yeah, this is a game where, and we'll talk about, of course, the Ram side first, but this is a game for San Francisco that is a gut check game. This is a game that you really need to show that you still have the stuff of a near champion, and in the division here. And what do we really know about either of these teams, Cease? The Rams are 4-1 because they played the entire NFC East already, and they had a game against Buffalo where Buffalo
should have won.
Yeah, and they should have won that game. Although Buffalo should have also coasted to win if they hadn't just let up in the second half. San Francisco has only beaten the teams that play at MetLife Stadium, and they actually won both games at MetLife Stadium. That's their new home field, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know about these teams. Goff against San Francisco last year was mixed results. One horrendous game, one very good game. The San Francisco defense is greatly weakened right now. So if you're looking at Goff as a possible choice this week, yeah, I mean, it could work. And Kupp and Woods have been consistent enough, and certainly against San Francisco with their defensive backfield depleted, with some of the top pass rushers, defensive linemen out. You're going to stick with them. I think that, and I don't know if I'd say play Henderson with confidence, Cease, just because of how this has gone. But if there's a hit this week in the backfield, it's likely to be Henderson. Because he's been a hit 3 times out of 5, he's got a slight edge in snaps, but when he's on the field, he gets his number called a lot more often. So there's something there to read. But also Cam Akers was in his first week back last week, had a nice run at the end of the game. Montez Sweat, by the way, chasing him down basically from behind. You don't see that very often. What's Montez, like 270, 275?
Yep.
Man, he looked like something out of a nightmare that is going to get you no matter what. We'll watch Everett and Higbee. It's too bad. When I look at this situation, I just think someone's going to throw money at Everett next year, right? $7-8 million a year, something like that. I mean, if Jesse James and Tyler Kroft can get $6 million a year, he can get $7-8-9 million a year.
Oh yeah,
and then Higbee will be freed with Bryson Hopkins on the side there. Me, what about me? And Everett will be freed because they can both be top 6, top 8 fantasy tight ends in the right situation. This is not the right situation. This is a team that wants to run the ball. This is a team that wants to be very conservative, and that's something else to watch here. I won't be surprised if San Francisco undoes Goff, because what has worked, and it's looked easy for the Rams. I don't think the 49ers are going to let it be easy. They've been hyper conservative. So maybe there's some cracks there. You can't just get away with that against the 49ers. There's so much that we don't know yet about these teams. I don't know that we're going to have more clarity, but coming in, the Rams certainly have the advantage on defense, and the Rams have the advantage at quarterback. San Francisco doesn't have a quarterback, Cecil.
No, and the one they do have, or at least the one that they would count on, Jimmy G, does not trust that ankle. He is not 100%. I'm not making excuses for him, but that's a guy, we talked about Visca, like he'll be banged up, but he'll still play and put up some numbers. Like Garoppolo just does not trust his body right now. And you can tell he's timid. He's nervous out there. So is it CJ Beathard? Is it Nick Mullins? Is it Jimmy Garoppolo? Does it even matter? George Kittle fantasy GMs are like, oh my God. They're getting very nervous, Bloom. So are their fears assuaged this week? Last week, Jet McKinnon let us down. So I don't even know if I'll have him as a what the heck flex this week. Because this offense, this team, in fact, due to injuries and the fact that they trusted Jimmy G, this team seems to be in shambles.
Yeah, again, this is a massively important game for this team. And the Rams, Aaron Donald just says, I don't care who they put out there. I'm coming after him. I mean, that's the thing. Especially if you don't trust your ankle, or otherwise you have limitations for Nick Mullen, limitations for CJ Beathard. So it's going to take a heroic performance, maybe heroic performance by Raheem Mostert. And again, assuming rational coaching, and sometimes Kyle Shanahan gives us the rational coaching. Certainly Kyle Shanahan gives us rational play design, rational play calling that sets players up for success. It took him a long time to realize that Raheem Mostert was the best back in his backfield. But wouldn't it seem like you make Raheem Mostert Ezekiel Elliott Christian McCaffrey or at least Alvin Kamara kind of centerpiece of this offense, and you just keep feeding him. That's what can get this offense sparked, because one out of Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel is going to see Jalen Ramsey. So you're not really liking them. Okay, you're going to play George Kittle, but you're lowering expectations. This is just going to be not very exciting offense. And like you said with McKinnon, I don't understand. I mean, McKinnon showed he can produce as a receiver. McKinnon showed he can hold up as a 90+% running back. He actually led running backs in snap percent the week before Mostert came back. And now he's just a bit player. I mean, I want to see a backfield with McKinnon and Mostert. I want to see McKinnon and Mostert much bigger parts of the passing game, because whoever it is, any of the three Cease, and as we record this, we don't know who's going to start, get the ball out quickly. With Aaron Donald, get the ball out very quickly. Have plays. And if you are trying to put together, someone said about Jason Garrett's offense, we already did the Giants last episode, that the offense is designed to get 10 yards in 3 plays, which is just, oh man, that's depressing. But I think that's maybe the game plan here. With McKinnon and Mostert's speed, they can always break something, can always make something happen. And you just don't want to leave your quarterback hanging out to dry. Because, again, if San Francisco gets blown off the field in this one by the Rams, now we're really looking at the fact that they beat the Jets and the Giants as a telltale sign that they're not just not a good team. Maybe they're a bad team.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about Jimmy Garoppolo, do you know what it makes me think of, Bloom?
What's that?
You already sang Man in the Mirror, so I'll go, Tell me, have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her?
He's a handsome man. Very
because
handsome.
I'm thinking I'm thinking of Aaron Donald, and please, Hammer, don't hurt him.
Yeah.
Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. Like, okay, Jimmy Garoppolo's nice. Don't kill him. Monday, Kansas City and Buffalo. And okay, so people think Le'Veon Bell will play if he signs with Kansas City. It is Monday, right, yeah. Bloom? But what have we seen with Devontae Freeman or Leonard Fournette? When these guys get signed that first week, they don't do a whole lot. So we'll continue to watch, and these teams are kind of vying and competing for Le'Veon Bell. So Kansas City, the take is, well, both of these teams actually, Bloom. It's like we have to give the take as it is. And it's Kansas City. Hell, you're starting everybody. Yeah. Clyde Edwards-Helaire owners are like, last stand. But we also have to consider, okay, what if Le'Veon Bell signs with Kansas City? What if Le'Veon Bell signs with Buffalo? So let's talk about Kansas City side first, and, how that would change with Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and it fits. Once you saw Bell post that picture of him and Chris Jones, it just fits. It fits because Andy Reid has that big tent, that whatever, it's all forgiven. If you could, it's Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick are the other coaches that come to mind. They all have different ways of going about it, but they're all coaches that really feel like whatever your reputation was, whatever happened at your last stop, we don't care. We're ready to give you a clean slate, and that definitely makes sense. It makes sense, and I'm a big Clyde Edwards-Helaire fan, but as we've been talking about lately, he's just not adding that oomph to this offense. And Kansas City is coming off of a loss. It's actually for both of these teams. Let's just do a quick little Le'Veon Bell segment before I'll get into the Kansas City side of the ball here. Look, both of these teams, Kansas City just lost to the Raiders at home and lost in a way that should make them feel like the Raiders were the better team. It wasn't just a gimmicky game plan or a few bounces that went their way. The Raiders were the better team on both sides of the ball. The Bills just had a game where they had Josh Allen. See, it's like Josh Allen's out there leading the charge and just chopping guys' heads off. And then, someone just stabbed him in the side. Uh-oh. Oh, no, he's limping. Like, maybe we need to retreat and figure out what's going on here. Because Josh Allen looks like 2018, 2019 Josh Allen. And then you saw that whole team shrink when he wasn't making those plays. So for either one of these teams, who both have Super Bowl aspirations, obviously, getting Le'Veon Bell is that sign. We're going for it. And I, for one, isn't it fascinating how fortunes change, Cease? Because Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers was chronicled. And then he goes and he gets his bag from the Jets, but this is what he has to suffer through.
After missing a year.
And missing a year. But now he's in an enviable position. He's already gotten paid this year for the whole year. He can play football for fun. He can play football for a ring. He can play football because of the building he wants to be in, because he has a chance to play with Patrick Mahomes, or he has a chance to play with Josh Allen, or he has a chance to play where he lives in Miami. So now all of a sudden, Le'Veon Bell is in an enviable position here. And obviously, from a fantasy standpoint, maybe the clearest path to full opportunity is in Miami, but it's got to be Kansas City. I mean, if you have Le'Veon Bell, and which one do you want him to land? That's got to be Kansas City. So Kansas City, what we saw last week, what we saw from New England, and Cecil, like you said, did Belichick give folks the blueprint, drop 8 into coverage and confuse Mahomes and maybe make him impatient. He can be inaccurate. He can make decisions that he might want to take back. And we'll see. I mean, even if Bell is signed here, by the way, this is Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's chance to show that he can be still a big part of this offense. No Sammy Watkins in this game. So you love Mecole Hardman. Did you watch the Bills secondary? Oh, my Lord. I felt so bad for Bills fans because you got a primetime game, basically.
Right.
And it just felt like, and we'll see if Tre'Davious White for this one. Tre'Davious White doesn't seem like the kind of corner that can blot out a Tyreek Hill or a Mecole Hardman for that matter. And Demarcus Robinson's in the background. But you just got the feeling watching the Bills defense that it was inevitable they were going to give it up on third down. Just, move the sticks before the play because their secondary was having so many problems. So you have to like Kansas City's chance to have some success here. You also want to see how Kansas City responds. Once you get the ring, does it make it a little difficult to get that hunger back? We know that Buffalo is hungry, but we also know, Cease, again, with Josh Allen, it's like I'm bring back video games again. Like when you get that thing that makes you invincible for a little bit,
yeah,
but then it wears off.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're talking Mario. You're talking. It was the star, right? You got the little star, and then you're like, or Sonic. When you got Sonic, you got the little invincible little stars that follow you around. Okay. Yeah. And once you'd lose that, you had that shield around you sometimes in Sonic, and you'd lose it and go like that.
That's what happened to Josh Allen.
That's what happened to Josh Allen, yeah. So was actually good that Tennessee was able to hammer up on the Bills. I got hammer on the mind now.
Yeah.
Everyone talking about old cassettes in the chat room because we are old. So, okay, do they get recentered? Do they get refocused? Do they go to more Zach Moss? Maybe. How do they respond? Because listen, Diggs still got his, right? Okay, fine. There's got to be somebody else to help Josh Allen when he's out there swinging and he's got those arrows stuck in him and he's still out there fighting. Like he's not looking good. So who's there to help, Bloom?
John Brown, maybe. And we're going to watch that. But if he couldn't play on Tuesday, Cole Beasley's a little banged up. We saw him come on in the second half. Gabriel Davis made some plays, one that got wiped off the board by a penalty. So after what we saw last week with the vulnerabilities in the deep game, you would think if John Brown plays John Brown, but Stephon Diggs downfield, Gabriel Davis downfield, and you like there to be numbers here in the passing game. So certainly Davis and Beasley qualifies what the heck flexes. Dawson Knox has a calf issue, probably not going to see him, so that takes away a potential dimension of athleticism in the passing game. Devin Singletary just looked poor. I mean, it's reminiscent of how Edwards-Hilaire's looked, where he just isn't generating any momentum at the collision point, and he wasn't able to navigate his way through the trash and the clogged running lanes the way that a more powerful back could, just like Moss or even Le'Veon Bell, could push it up there and at least get a couple of yards or establish the line of scrimmage. So Singletary, like Edwards-Hilaire, we might be going into this game, depending on where Le'Veon Bell chooses, with a chance to say, okay, I still belong in this game plan, because if they were playing up to their ceilings or the way the team saw them in the ideal, then they wouldn't be looking at Le'Veon Bell. And then the other thing, again, to watch is that Kansas City defense. For the first, a la Josh Allen, right? Like for the first 4 weeks, we're saying, hey, this Kansas City defense isn't a liability. The offense isn't going to have to drag this defense to victories like it has been in the past. And then against the Raiders, against that Al Davis vertical passing attack, you're just seeing the backs of their uniforms. And they also can't stop Josh Jacobs in the running game and to give Patrick Mahomes a chance to tie the game up at the end. So where's their confidence level at? Where's Steve Spagnuolo at? So lots and lots of chances for arrows to point up, down after this game. It is a big showdown, but I think what it reflects mostly, Cease, is there's no alpha in the AFC right now.
Right.
There's no team that you say the Super Bowl goes through this stadium, and by this time we'll watch Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and that will certainly add some complexion to this. We'll watch Houston and Tennessee. So a wide open AFC is fun.
It is fun, and I have a feeling, Bloom, if Kansas City wins, we go, well, Buffalo, they're not that good. If Buffalo wins, then you go, okay, stand up and pay attention.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's the best team. If they,
Monday Night Football gives us another one, and another one. Sound like Biggie, Arizona and Dallas up next, and of course you're starting New Hopkins. Kyler Murray's a consideration. It's Dallas. Everybody's a consideration. And Chase Edmonds, probably one of the most popular fantasy questions that I got this week, Bloom. So some fantasy gold to be mined. Basically, you don't even have to pan for gold. You just walk out in the water and you're like, oh, gold. It's called the Cardinals offense. Let's go.
Yeah, this is a fun matchup. There's been some fun matchups over the years between these teams. And we get primetime Kyler Murray. Have we had primetime Kyler Murray yet? I'm not sure. It's exciting for fantasy, of course. With Drake and Edmonds, it is the Dallas defense. Devontae Freeman scored against Dallas last week, so you might like Kenyon Drake in this one, but you like Chase Edmonds better. And again, I think one of these games we're going to see them level up the work between these two, if not favor Edmonds, and Edmonds is getting the passing game work anyway, so he's the better PPR play. You got DeAndre Hopkins, of course, coming on at the end of the Jets game for a big game, but also Christian Kirk. You like Christian Kirk as a what the heck flex this week, came on last week, coming back, I think, from a groin issue, and against the Dallas secondary. You like that. But again, Cease, it's the same question we're asking about every one of these NFC West teams, except Seattle. But even Seattle, Minnesota thoroughly outplayed them. So Arizona has beaten San Francisco. Now that doesn't look that exciting. Washington and the Jets. And they lost to Detroit and Carolina. Well, maybe the Carolina loss isn't that ignoble. But I don't know if Arizona is any good. I don't know if I'm going to have a clear idea after that game. But I do know that we'll have a clear idea of what Andy Dalton, starting Dallas Cowboys quarterback, just down the road. He played college football just down the road from Arlington in Fort Worth with TCU. So familiar confines in a way.
Familiar confines and Vance Joseph defense. So we're back.
Yeah.
Okay. And listen, with all those weapons, this is the best way that I could sum it up, Bloom. With all those weapons, Andy can't mess this up. Yeah. Now, will he be as good as Dak and 500 yards? No, but still very strong, very productive. Let's say 85% of what you would normally get from a Dak Prescott-led Cowboys team. That's still really good when you consider this talent. Plus, Bloom, like every backup quarterback that takes over, we always say, who is his favorite target? It looked like Michael Gallup was a little bit more involved. So we'll be throwing him in as a what the heck flex, even though people have been generally disappointed by Gallup this year, just because there's so much with CD and Amari and everybody. So let's talk about how these Cowboys look now moving forward, without Dak.
Yeah, we're looking at, see, if you want to put a number on it, if Dalton's about 70% of Dak statistically, then Dalton is a low-end quarterback one for fantasy. Now, Dak had 3 rushing touchdowns in a game. So I don't think Dalton's going to do that. Dalton's had a few rushing touchdowns in his time, but still indicative of the idea that Dallas is going to get a chance to put up big numbers, partially because of their defense. Those game scripts are benefiting Dak. Those same game scripts will benefit Dalton, just like those same surrounding players will benefit Dalton. More Zeke, well, that's the other thing. Maybe we lower expectations for Dalton, because doesn't it just seem like Mike McCarthy is going to say, well, now we need to give the ball to Zeke 25 times a game or something like that. So maybe that's another thing working against Dalton here, but I still think Dalton is going to be okay. When Dalton has had the pieces around him, Dalton has been a very productive fantasy quarterback. The one potential Achilles heel here is you can get away with having your 4th and 5th offensive tackles when you have Dak Prescott. You can't get away with it when you have Andy Dalton. So we're going to be watching all these things, but maybe this game isn't the best test because there's no Chandler Jones in this one. Hate seeing this. Anytime there's a player at the top level of play at any position, we hate seeing them go out. We hate seeing any player go out, but just for the entertainment factor here. So maybe Dalton and the Dallas offense can get away with those weak offensive tackles. On the Gallup front, yes, because Andy Dalton, I mean, simple psychology, right? Andy Dalton they have that thing now where they can calculate the percentage chance of a completion on a throw, the Gallup catches at the end of the game are like 18% and 28% or something like that, which is
Right.
usually among the most unlikely completions of the week. And isn't that going to make Dalton feel like if I throw it up, Gallup's going to make a play? The other thing to watch here is Amari Cooper's snap count is going down every single week. Now, last week, James Bradbury did a number on him, and Patrick Peterson's not really doing a number on anyone at this point. But just watch this. You're still going to play Cooper. You're still going to play Lamb, and you're inclined to play Gallup here. Dalton Schultz, you're not inclined to play, but you just want to see if he has a pulse for fantasy football. You're deciding whether he's in the shut him down if he isn't already. Again, because this offense shrinks with Andy Dalton. And for Dallas, I mean, they're still in the driver's seat. They lost a starting quarterback, and they're still in the driver's seat in the NFC East. Arizona's only played one NFC East team so far. It's Washington. They won. So that's what we're going to be watching, Cease, is how these NFC East teams do within the division, but they also can't afford to give up a game to other teams in the division. They're all going to play all of the, we talk about the NFC West not looking good this year, or at least we're not sure. You can't afford to give that up. So something to watch here. If Dallas wants to stay in the driver's seat, they got to get this home win.
Okay, we've gone through the games here in week 6. It's part 2 of the week 6 preview here on the Audible. And now, as we get to the end of the show, it's our ever popular What the Heck Flex. You're just looking over the lineups. You need some punch. And, you're throwing up a prayer. You got teams on bye. Like, I'm just throwing this guy in, and I hope it works out. So week 6, What the Heck Flexes for me include J.K. Dobbins. Can they please get that right? I hate that he's even a what the heck flex now, because he should be an every week starter for you. Best back in this draft, in my opinion. But here we are. J.K. Dobbins, a what the heck flex. I'm gonna trust Romeo. Just a little bit. He says Duke Johnson Jr. will be used a little bit more. Okay, Duke Johnson Jr., you are a what the heck flex. And I'm hopeful there. Let's talk about Dearness Johnson as a what the heck flex. I'm not going to trust Adam Gase as Michael Pirine as a what the heck flex, but I'll still keep an eye on Pirine just in case. To the wide receiver position we go, and N'Keal Harry's going to get open on whoever Denver trots out there at corner. So yes, what the heck flex N'Keal Harry? Yes, please. I'll take T. Higgins every single day as a what the heck flex, if not more. McCole Hardman should be more than a what the heck flex, in my opinion. Preston Williams more than a what the heck flex. Keelan Cole, etc. So, and throw out some love for Randall Cobb as well in that matchup against Tennessee. So you look over your lineup, Bloom, you mute your audio on your browser.
Yeah.
What are your week 6 what the heck flexes?
I wanted to tell our guy, Celine 76, that he's very kind. And sometimes you forget to mute. Philip Lindsay. Philip Lindsay is more than what the heck flex, but Cease, I think this is one of the situations, and maybe you can give us the latest if there is any latest. I think even if Melvin Gordon is active for this game.
No. Lindsay's more than a what the heck flex. Yeah.
So just make sure you consider Lindsay. Mike Boone. Oh no. PTSD, fantasy football PTSD, Mike Boone. But if they play the game, and you think that Minnesota is going to boat race Atlanta, it could be a Mike Boone second half. Mentioned Matt Breida, mentioned DeAndre Swift, and Adrian Peterson. And like you said, Michael Pirine, I mean, if we're going really deep, but hey, what about Frank Gore? Miami's given up 8 touchdowns to running backs this year. So, I don't know. Yeah. Lots of wide receivers. You can get creative at wide receiver this week. Damiere Byrd and N'Keal Harry against that Denver secondary. We mentioned Gabriel Davis and Cole Beasley. You mentioned Randall Cobb, Keelan Cole, especially if Laviska Shenault's hamstring might be an issue. Mentioned Christian Kirk. Mentioned Marvin Jones. If you got to go really deep this week, we just saw Chase Claypool account for 4 touchdowns. Is there a guy on the Ravens roster, Cease, that played at Notre Dame and kind of has a similar physical profile to Chase Claypool? There is. Miles Boykin. Maybe, just maybe, this is Miles Boykin week.
Perhaps, and maybe, and well, hopefully not. The Ratbirds of Baltimore. By the way, Bloom, I don't want to pick on you, brother, but do you know what a saline is?
No, but I'm assuming it's something to do with branching.
No, it's a car. It's a Saline Mustang.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
It's a company that would make kits for your Mustang to make them faster and better, like side skirts and stuff like that. So yeah, Saline Mustang. Always respect for a Roush Mustang. I almost bought a Roush Mustang years ago, but I was waiting. I was holding out for a Shelby. So Saline Mustangs, Roush Mustangs, and of course Shelby Mustangs.
You got to talk to Mike Tagliere. You know, he's obsessed with his car.
He's got a
with-
Fox body. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a 93, I think, Mustang Fox body. I think he takes it to the track too.
Yes, he takes it out to the track and really opens it up.
Yep. I opened it up on I-25.
You're not the only one.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. Anyway. All right. Justin's like Cecil deep down likes the Ratbirds. They're built so much like Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's like, oh. Anyway, that is a wrap. Programming note, Bloom. No
Yeah,
live
no show tonight. No
Yeah,
game tonight. No show tonight. And we'll be back Sunday morning. Jason Wood, Dr. Gene, Mitch Carl, and of course on Opiner. You can find me. I'll tweet out a link to that again too, and you can hit me on Twitter too. So enjoy Thursday night. Spend Thursday night with your loved ones. Not necessarily in front of the TV. You know, watch something else other than football. And yeah, we'll be back with you. We're still here. We're still loving you.
Yep, loving you guys. Thank you very much for your support. Make sure to do all those YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible. Thanks for watching. Now I can hit end broadcast, Bloom.
Yeah.
Stay tuned and stay frosty.